Welcome back to Canadian Goose Studios. Birds of Prey came out this weekend, or last weekend, and that's a new comic book movie, and as you might know, I do love comic book movies. So, today we're going to be ranking down my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time. Let's get right into it. We return. Now, we're talking about our favorite comic book movies. I do love comic book movies, and there's so many that I love that can't even be put on a top 10 list. So we're gonna do some honorable mentions, of course. So I'm gonna do one DC film, one Marvel film, and one other comic book film. So let's go with the DC film first. So my honorable mention for the DC film will be Aquaman. I really do like Aquaman. It's a good movie. I do love the visuals for this movie. James Wan is absolute genius. I don't know where he comes up with all this stuff, but like those long camera shot scenes are just so cool, and I absolutely love them. I don't know how he does it, or he's just a great director in general, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I hope he gets put for directing another Fast and Furious, another DC film, maybe even a Marvel film. This guy's a great director. Don't know why he doesn't direct like many other films, like big budget films, but he's really good with his stuff. Like, he does the real stuff here. Aquaman has so much to do, it's a bit too far with the crack and stuff, but other than that, this film is great, I think they could have sort of split Orm and Black Manta up into two separate movies, but I do like them in one movie, but still, it's not like anything I would say is like, oh. But I do love Black Manta as a villain, I do love Orm as a villain, and I can't wait to see a second Aquaman movie. This one is just so good. Moving on to honorable mention 2, we will have Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, Spider-Man Homecoming is, I really do love this movie also. Like, the Vulture, Michael Keaton, is just one of the best villains of all time. They're getting all these famous celebrities and just putting them in Marvel movies, and I love to see that. Tom Holland as Spider-Man was just a great choice, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Well, moving on to honorable mention 3, we have Hellboy. Now, Hellboy is, I really do like this movie also. Like, I don't know the actor of Hellboy, but this movie is a really good movie. I do love the action. Came out in 2004, which it's kind of an old superhero movie, like from these newer ones that I'm about to talk about. But, I do love this one. Love the action. Hellboy's a great character. I was really disappointed with Hellboy 3, but I gotta admit, I do love the first two, and the first one is just so good. I'm sad we won't get to see any more of these Hellboy movies, but really good movie. It's a bit weird, but with all like the Nazi stuff and that stuff, but it's, other than that, this is a good film. Really good film. But now it's time to get into the top 10, because it's fun to do top 10, right? So, with our top 10, our first one will be The Dark Knight. Because, of course, who doesn't like Batman, And this movie is, I know people love this movie, and it's like their favorite comic book film. Like, I really like this movie too. Like, great action film, Heath Ledger as Joker is just wicked choice. Of course, Christian Bale as Batman. Christian Bale is a great actor. Christopher Robin. Christopher. I don't know who directs this movie, but it is a really good director. The Dark Knight is a really good movie, really dark, comparing it to most of these other movies, and I want to see like the darkness in all these other movies, because we don't see that often in like Marvel movies. It's not like too dark or anything, but The Dark Knight was a dark film, and I really like to see that. Really, really good film. It's hard to say the bad stuff of this film because it's really good. Batman's a bit overuse of his tools and gadgets, which gets kind of boring, but it's kind of hard to say because this film's so good. The villain choice is great. I really do love this film. But moving on to number 9, we have Iron Man. Of course, Iron Man is here because Iron Man is just such a good movie with all of its like action, like the first MCU movie. I don't really like the film Jeff Bridges, as you might have saw in my Iron Man movie review, but other than that, this movie is a classic movie, and I love to rewatch this one over and over because it's just so good. With it sort of looks old-fashioned comparing it to most of the other Marvel movies. Really like the old-fashioned taste to it. But moving on to number 8, we have Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first MCU movie I ever watched. Now, this film's like a classic to me, and I know so many people love this film also. It was just the first of its kind. It was kind of like Star Wars, but better. It's kind of like not lit as well, or it might just be my quality, but the visuals aren't like amazing or even like cool, but it's nothing revolutionary. It's just a really fun film in 2014 that we got. The very first Marvel movie I ever saw in theaters and just in general. I didn't watch the trailer, so I didn't know what I was going into. And you know what? I came out and I love this film. Because I do, it has a great cast. You have Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, Vin Diesel, come on now. Michael Rooker, Karen Gillan, you got so many people. Just a whole load of people. And I know some people thought this film, they're putting Raccoon and Groot, it's not going to be good. Marvel took a huge risk to make this film, which was Rocket and Groot and doing it in space. They've never done anything like this. And when it came out, this movie was awesome. So many people love this. And I haven't heard from a single person them saying, it wasn't that good. I have never heard someone say that. I always hear positive stuff about this movie. And James Gunn, the director, is a great director. He's directing The Suicide Squad, which I'm excited for. And he's going to direct the third Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm really excited for that. But he should have made Rated R Scooby-Doo, man. Come on now. The villain again, the villain. Ronan is not a very good villain comparing him to most characters in this universe. And some of the plots, going to nowhere just to find out they can't use this because the girl put her hand and she's okay, you didn't have to include that, but, other than that, this movie was a great movie. I do love this movie so much, and I hope everyone enjoyed this movie like me. But moving on to number 7, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. No, I'm kidding. Ant-Man. Ant-Man is just... second Marvel film I watched. But Ant-Man is just a great movie, you know? Luis, the humor. There's so much humor in this movie, and I absolutely love it. They didn't take a big risk for this one, but they did get Paul Rudd. That's a pretty big risk. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, Ant-Man was such a good film. I even like the villain. You know, Yellow Jacket, he's a good villain. Also, there were some scenes that didn't need to be put in this movie, but, you know, they were... they didn't need to be put in, and I'm sure they cut out so many scenes, but maybe don't cut out some more, like cut out a couple more. But, you know, like the visual effects for this movie weren't very good. I know it's a low budget film, but like it's a bigger budget than Mandalorian, but it's a lower budget than most Marvel films. And, you know, I love this movie. I don't like huge budget movies, but this one was really good. Like, them getting Paul Rudd was a great choice. I was excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp, but it sucked. So I really hope they step up their game with Ant-Man 3, because I want to see a good Ant-Man movie 2023 or 2022. I don't know. I want to see a good Ant-Man movie, not a bad one. Okay? Good. But moving on to number 6, we have Thor Ragnarok. Now, I know a lot of these are Marvel movies, and you guys are getting bored because they're Marvel movies, but I do love these movies, because Thor Ragnarok, Taika Waititi is just a phenomenal director. This guy won Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars. He also writes his movies. Phenomenal writer also. He's a genius. This dude's amazing. Like, he wasn't nominated for Best Director. This guy worked so hard directing these movies. Come on now. Put a couple more directors in there, like Ford vs. Ferrari director. But Taika Waititi is just a genius, and him making Thor Ragnarok was just an awesome idea. His Thor Ragnarok just made the Thor film so much better. Everyone was excited for it, and they all loved it in the end. The visual effects aren't incredible for this film either, but they're still good and all. They just aren't like amazing or revolutionary. There's some plot things in this that are just kind of stupid, but, you know, Taika Waititi kind of makes stupid movies, which I do love, but, you know, for Marvel movies, I'm not, like, one to say stupid in them, like, because that's, like, Fast and Furious's role, not Marvel's role, but, you know, I liked it. I like, Thor Ragnarok. You know, all the new characters they added, they killed off the bad ones. They killed off the ones we don't like. Like, I can see Taika Waititi thought that he's like, okay, well, we know some bad ones are in this, let's kill them off, you know? And then have us stab them, right? So, good thing he knew what was right for the characters in that, because killed them off right away. And they added some new ones, like Korg, Meek, Hela, Valkyrie, Hulk came back, Thor was even badass in this one, because with all the lightning, and he was like, you know, that was pretty cool. So much in this film that I just love, but they do kill off so many characters to just tell a joke. Like, you know, the guy with the bomb knocker, they just want to tell a joke, and he gets killed off right away. You know, that's a bit stupid, but, you know, I'm not looking for stupid in Marvel movies, that's the problem. But I know Taika Waititi will update for Thor Love and Thunder. I'm getting so excited for that one. So, Thor Ragnarok will be number 6. Moving on to number 5, we have Avengers Endgame. Now, back when I first saw this, it might have been number 1, but not anymore, because, you know, Avengers Endgame is a great film. The final film, they did it perfectly. I wouldn't want anything different. But, there's other movies that I like more than it. And I'm not going to give this 100 out of 100 just because, it's not like awesome quality or anything. It's like not like as in visual effects or anything. It's wicked for visual effects, but as in like the story, it's Marvel. There's a villain and the heroes have to defeat him, and they do. It's not like Marriage Story. Marriage Story is a bit different. I do like Endgame more, but Marriage Story is about like divorce and that stuff. Not really like Endgame's like down below that, but I like Endgame more. Endgame was a great final off though. Like Captain America wielding Mjolnir, great. Iron Man saying I am Iron Man to do the final words, great. Thor figuring out he's still worthy, great. A lot of this is great. But it's just that all Marvel movies are kind of the same to me, like. I know, a lot of people think they aren't, and I still don't think most of them are the same when people say all superhero movies are the same. But a couple of them are different, but Endgame is, like, it did a lot of stuff that was different, like the time travel, they finally got that in, and I'm not saying I don't like Endgame. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they could have done a bit more different stuff to this movie. Like, I was excited for this movie, like, full on, like, 10 out of 10 for excitement. But when it comes down to, like, the level when after I watch it a couple times, I'm like, okay, it's still good and all, I do love this movie, but, it's just, like, one that you're like, it could have been better. I was expecting more out of this movie. But moving on to number 4, we have Joker, sorry. Joker is such a great film. Like, this one is different. This one is different from most films. This one's the dark DC. This is what I'm talking about. Like, The Dark Knight and Joker are what we're looking for from DC. Not like funniness from like Shazam and that stuff. We're looking for humor from Joker, not The Dark Knight. And I do really like Joker because this movie was so weird and twisted and so sick. It's just watching someone go mentally insane and cheering them on. Like, it's so cruel to watch, and it's a great movie, but it's very, very hard to watch with all this stuff. And everyone feels bad for Joaquin Phoenix, Arthur, I don't know his name, but everyone felt bad for him in this movie, and it's just really, really hard to watch. But the quality level is so different from every other comic book movie that it's just so good, like it gets you. It's very different from most comic book movies. It's nothing like revolutionary, but it's very different and a film that you will watch and you'll be like, damn, that's a good movie. But we had to move on to number 3, which will be Logan. Logan is just a great movie. I'm so sad they just didn't end the X-Men franchise right here, because when making Dark Phoenix, it's just, no, don't make Dark Phoenix, that's a bad idea. You can make, like, Logan was such a good ending, like, everyone was so good in it, like, Hugh Jackman, great actor, Patrick Stewart, like, they all died, spoiler, but, it just ended so good comparing it to what Dark Phoenix did. Like, that was a big disappointment, and I know everyone loves Logan so much. The action in this movie is wicked. Like, the acting even in this movie is so good. Like, this movie is very different from the other X-Men movies, just because it's so good, so very, very good. And I am just so impressed of Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart in this movie. They were so good, and I really hope these two guys join the MCU because this movie was absolutely great. And there's not much you can say that they did wrong in this. Like, I guess they could, like, I know when Wolverine, like, dies, he does, I know, but if they could, actually tell us how, like, because I thought he couldn't die in it, but, you know, there's some stuff that's just so great, but then there's other stuff you're like, it's good, but it could have been better, you know? Could have been better. Moving on to number 2, we had Captain America Civil War. Now, Captain America Civil War, it's not just that the movie is excellent, it's about the memories that are excellent. I remember going to see this with my friend, you know? I remember that. I remember it pretty well. And it was just such a fun time, you know? Captain America Civil War was just a great movie and great memories. I really do love this movie, and it's always fun to watch this movie on a rainy day. I don't really know, but you know, it's like the one movie I'll watch on a rainy day. It's weird, but you know. The action in this movie is absolutely incredible. Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. fighting to the end, that is absolutely incredible. And I know a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, say this movie, what? You like this one? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's my favorite MCU movie. They're like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah, it's really good to me. I really like this one. I do really like this. Like, some of the plot's forgettable in this, but it's just so good that it's like all the action, you forget about it. It's like entertainment to your brain. Like, same with Fast and Furious, entertainment. It's not really like you care about the story because it's just so much action going into your brain. Like Bad Boys for Life, I forgot the whole story because there was so much action. But this movie is just so good. Like the final battle between Iron Man and Captain America, the one we've been waiting for so long. We finally got to see them brawl it out, and it was such an even match. But as you might know, Captain America, without a scratch on him, beat Iron Man. I know he might have had a little bit of blood, but still, nope, he won. But now we must move on to number 1, which is Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse. Now, I know everyone loves this movie. When I saw the trailer for this movie in 2017, was it? I'm like, it doesn't look very good. This looks pretty bad, actually. And I was assuming Incredibles 2 would win Best Animated Feature after watching that. But now I hate Incredibles 2. But Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse was an excellent film. Like, when I saw the second trailer, I'm like, seems interesting. When I wanted to go see Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, but I guess the showtimes didn't work, so I just wanted to see Spider-Verse. That movie was absolutely incredible. When I saw Wreck-It Ralph, I'm like, oh, that movie sucked. Spider-Verse ruled. Like, that was so good. I'm so happy I saw this one in theaters. Just the animation is so unique. It's even revolutionary. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it's revolutionary. This movie changed the way of animated movies. Now we see Klaus, and it's sort of like this one, actually. But this one just has incredible animation. So many movie critics love this movie and say it's some of their favorite comic book animated movies. I just absolutely adore this movie with everything. Like, some great actors: Shamrock Moore, Haley Stenfield, Jake Johnson, Nicolas Cage, John Mulaney, Chris Pine. Oh my God, there's so many people in this movie. And Mahershala Ali, sorry, I forgot about him. Everyone, like, so many people, so many great actors in this movie, and comes together to make a great animation with all this unique stuff. Like, when they punch someone, it's like, pow! Like, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, but it is just so good. And I love watching this movie over and over because it's so entertaining. Also, the music is incredible for this film. Like, all the rapping music, just so good. And oh my God, this movie was so good. Even the memories of this movie were kind of fun, actually. They might have not been like amazing or anything, but they were fun, and I remember it pretty well. Well, that has been my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and leave a like.